first thing I'm doing today is making myself a cup of tea. In this case, Lapsang Souching. Now when I started these cooking series, it was going to be a 6-part series, but I think this is number 7. You just get carried away. But this may be the last one for a while. So let's just make ourselves a cup of tea. And consider a nice snack to go with it. Lapsang, of course, has a wonderfully smoky flavour, which you can use in all sorts of ways, and I have previously. So let's start by warming some up. In the same way that you can release the aroma of various spices, you can do the same with the tea. So let's give that a go. We're going to give that about 30 seconds. 30 seconds later, and we've got some lovely smoky tea aroma coming off that, so I'm going to pour that into my spice grinder now. While I'm messing around with that, I'm going to heat some ghee in the pan. Now you can use any sort of oil for this, but I like ghee. Now here I've got some rock salt, and throw that in the spice grinder. Alright, that's our powdered Lapsang and salt. This is cooking rather quickly. I might just sit this on the cappuccino machine for a while we deal with the next part. Now, I've made my tea. Can't forget about that. And know that it's quite lovely. Yeah, a real favourite. What I've got here is some almonds. Walanga, a very famous almond growing area just down the road. Like a lot of nice fresh produce, so I've got some of these blanched almonds. Put them in there, and I'm actually just going to use a dash of my tea. I'm going to moisten them up a bit. So, there we go. So they're now moist, and what I'm going to add is this raw sugar. So I end up with these almonds that are sort of sticky, coated with this raw sugar. Right. Now I'll put the ghee back on. As I said, you can use oil. Peanut oil is good. Just not canola oil, but I like to use ghee. Incidentally, you can make ghee if you don't have it. It's very, very simple. You just get some butter and you melt it and you sort of skim the top. Bit of a technique, but it's not hard. Right, let's add this to our ghee. So basically, almonds and sugar. Now what we're going to do is we're going to give this about 4 or 5 minutes, and then we'll come back to it. So I'll just leave that sitting there to cook and drink my tea. Alright, you've joined me back at about the 4 3/4 minute mark, just finishing my tea, which is delightful, and starting to get a bit of golden colour happening here. So basically we've got a bit of toffee, and it's getting there and it's starting to sort of separate. If I pulled it out beforehand it was going to be one sort of lump, but the individual almonds are starting to break up as the toffee mixture sort of evaporates away, continues to cling to them. So we're probably going to give it another minute. It's just browning a little slower than I would have thought, possibly because it's only a very small hot point. Yeah, come along now. It's important when you take them off that you make sure that they end up separate, unless you particularly like clumped together treats. Not going to affect the taste, but just how they look. Okay, we are just about there. They're browning up, as you can see. A bit of a gold colour about them that tends to happen with ghee. Anything to do with ghee, that lovely golden buttery colour. You can also use palm sugar for this recipe. Okay, we're just about done there now. So what I've got is just a simple baking sheet, a little bit of greaseproof paper, wax paper, baking paper, whatever you call it where you're from. And we're going to push this out. Now I'm going to try not to get too much of the oil in there. There's some little bits of oil left, and so I'd rather they stayed in the pan. Just cook them down a little bit more, I think, actually. I don't want to end up with a oily, runny mess. There we go, looking pretty good. Just take them out over the side. Try to keep the oil out of the sheet. So at the moment they're very sweet, as you'd imagine, being all sugar. So what I'm going to do now is add our ground lapsang and salt. Possibly drop it all over the place, but never mind, one can recover. And I'm trying to move them around a bit to separate them out a bit and make sure they're well coated. Just spread that all the way through. Beautiful. What I'm going to do is I'm now going to let those cool down for about 10 minutes or so they're nice and cool. Then we'll pop them on a plate, see how they look. So, back in 10. Okay, 10 minutes later, I've gone and stolen this little crystal thingamajig from Mrs. Devotea's crystal cupboard, and it just remains to put them in it, basically. Don't think it's quite going to fit, but let's see how we go. Here we go. Lapsang Souching smoked, salty, sweet, toffeed almonds. And of course I'll give it the test. Absolutely delightful. I'll see you next time.